Adam Taxon here, native of Delaware County, Pennsylvania, outside Philly, lifelong Eagles fan. Yeah, of course, with the Super Bowl, people, the media, hey, it's lazy. It's how many clicks you can get. I can't say I haven't done that myself, but it's all about how awful the Eagles fans are. And I'm not going to say there isn't a point to some extent, but here, basically, I'm just trying to compile and do a little editing so that you have a more coherent, easy to use video of what they're going to say about Eagles fans anyhow in the 2 weeks before the Super Bowl. Not even 2 weeks anymore. I'm not going to talk or narrate through this whole thing, but just where necessary. This is for people who aren't familiar with Philadelphia, Frankfurt and Cotman and Northeast Philly. Typical gathering point on those rare occasions when there's something to celebrate in Philly sports. Also, Center City on Broad Street, that's also a big gathering point. This happens to be in Northeast Philly. And just Eagles fans showing enthusiasm, you know, despite what the media may want to make of it. Just mentioned Center City. This seems to be in Center City from what I can tell. Yeah! All right, is that enough of the mildly normal? We can get to the even quirkier stuff now. So the Vikings fans before the game on Sunday night, which I just want to remind people, the Eagles won 38-7. They took over the steps in front of the Art Museum, the so-called Rocky Steps. The statue, actually, that was once up there, is by where the stadiums and arenas are in South Philly now. But so, you know, they laid low after the game for good reason, but that doesn't mean that there wasn't activity on the steps of the Art Museum. And here is someone driving a dune buggy up it, and I apologize for those of you who've seen a lot of these videos ahead. I'm just trying to sort of bring them all together. This one requires like no explanation. This one probably has made the rounds more than anything else. Again, if you've seen all of these, why are you still watching at this point? But the subway scene and the guy and a pole in his way. Yeah, if you haven't seen this, you probably haven't seen any of them. Let me point out something else in that video that's not really making fun of Eagles fans, which I don't really want to do, but I revel in the fun parts of it too. But both those guys are wearing number 20 jerseys. Brian Dawkins hasn't been on the team for quite a few years. Hopefully he'll make the Hall of Fame in a few weeks. I think that's announced the day of the Super Bowl. That just shows how loyal Philadelphia fans tend to be to guys who really give their all on the field. Obviously Dawkins was a great player, but just something you notice is how many Dawkins jerseys there still are among Philadelphia Eagles fans. Wanted to point that out. And another thing that the national media is certainly having fun with. You saw this tweet from, I guess it was Sunday morning or maybe Saturday night, and I think Sunday during the day. They posted this. This one happens to be from Fox 9 Sports. I don't know where that is, not Philadelphia. Good morning from Philly, where crews from the city are greasing the light poles with Crisco to prevent Eagles fans from climbing after the NFC Championship game tonight. Vikings pregame coverage starts at 3 on Fox, whatever. They call themselves the Crisco Cops. I will point out I used to live in Center City at the time of the Phillies winning the 2008 World Series, and there definitely was a reason to be putting Crisco on the poles. They didn't do it then. The Philadelphia police got in on the fun here. You can see now comes the time in the night where we must warn everyone about the dangers of saturated fats. Obviously, they're making a joke there. Cheers for hashtag Foles, Nick Foles, Eagles quarterback. Jeers for Poles. That's not an anti-Polish reference. Ron Jaworski, of course, did lead the Eagles to the Super Bowl their very first time in 1980. That one didn't go so well. Neither did the second time, by the way. And then the police continue. It's a long way down, baby. Celebrate responsibly. Yeah, and just with the Foles cheer, it's not in this video, but did you notice that the Eagles fans replaced the Vikings skull chant and the hand motion with Foles? I like that. That was fun. Another one. This was great. Eagles fans battling the Crisco cops and you see Google searches for how to wash off Crisco, how to get Crisco oil out of clothes, where to buy non-slip gloves, and climbing a street pole 101. Now, let me show you the video of how well that worked out for people not climbing onto poles in Center City, and probably some other places too. Yeah, I'm aware the majority of you who are watching this are watching it on phones. You may not be able to read what the tweets say when I put a picture in there, which I'm doing here, but you can at least see the picture, hopefully. This one from Dominic Cassiato says, Philly enjoyed 2 victories last night, against the Vikings and against vegetable oil. Hashtag Crisco cops. And this one, the grease didn't work. The guy looking pretty triumphant at the corner of Broad and Snyder, which isn't that far from the stadiums in South Philly. Got to give you a little context for this one. Apparently there is a 99-year-old woman named Millie who is sort of a mascot for the Vikings. Grandmother, well, I mean, you could easily be a great-great-grandmother, or at least a great-grandmother at that point, but she's a grandmother. And I guess she's an unofficial mascot, and sort of like Chief Z used to be, the black guy who used to always have an Indian headdress at Redskins games. May he rest in peace, by the way. He passed away, I think, like 1 or 2 years ago. You can Google how things went for him when he wore his stuff to Veterans Stadium where the Eagles used to play. But anyhow, Millie, that's the context here. So the Eagles fans actually acknowledged her after the game. Enjoy this if you haven't seen it already.
Millie! Yeah! Hashtag fuck Millie! Yeah! Let's go!
Genuinely hope I'm doing an okay job of providing some context for some of these things. Believe me, you're going to hear a lot about Eagles fans up to the Super Bowl, maybe after it as well. Especially if the Eagles win. Going to be an interesting night in Philly. Let's rewind a little bit. A few more videos from before after the Eagles won that I think would be good to see. This one is of a Minnesota Vikings fan, female, who has hair kind of like the Vikings male mascot. Interesting. She clearly wasn't happy by some combination of the way her team was playing and presume her treatment by Eagles fans in her area. Yeah, let's watch her spit on Eagles fans here.
See what I mean? 2nd and 10.
Let's rewind just a bit further. This is from before the game, tailgating. The treatment of a couple Vikings fans walking through Eagles tailgates. My guess is that they tried to provoke this and I don't know who shot the video, but I'm guessing it might have been them. Or they knew what they were doing, and these were pretty big guys. But enjoy. Something else here. Look, it's not only at the games, it's not only after the games or before the games. But Eagles fans tend to be pretty passionate online too, lest you think otherwise. I just want to show you this. Well, let me just say, hopefully I'm doing okay with this, with the narration providing a little bit more information than you get just from watching the tweets or the Twitter videos or wherever you see it. But, well, at the very least, hopefully I'm better than this putts that you're about to see here. And the point by my showing this is, well, wait till you see what the reactions to this are afterwards. I've collected some of them. Enjoy.
Eagles fans are the most disgusting human beings on planet Earth, and they put their shameful selves on full display throughout NFC Championship week.
You want a piece of me, motherfucker? I'm right here, bitch, and I ain't leaving.
Not only did they throw full beers at Vikings fans walking to the stadium, which could easily lead to a serious injury, they also chanted Millie about a 99-year-old Vikings fan after the game. They also vandalized cars, drove a Jeep up the Rocky Steps, blew air horns at the hotels where the Vikings players were staying, and threw beers at the Vikings bus after the game. Embarrassing.
I will never apologize.
Hey, Eagles fans, how about you show some class in victory or defeat and not continue to accept that this is what Eagles fans are? Rude, lewd, dangerous, disgusting humans who think it's okay to put other people's lives in jeopardy for your own momentary amusement.
You need to calm down.
While I know these actions don't represent the entire fan base, they do represent Eagles fans in the public perception. And that's all that matters in this social world where every one of those despicable acts were caught on video. Of course, Vikings fans now have to deal with an influx of Eagles fans for the Super Bowl in Minnesota. And while those Vikings fans would be totally justified in harassing and abusing those same Eagles fans, they likely won't, and will show a little bit more class. Maybe Eagles fans can learn a lesson from that, but probably not.
Yeah, he hit a few things there that I didn't get into. The things thrown at the Vikings bus, but whatever. I'm not out of line, though, in referring to him as a putz. But anyhow, let's get to some of the tweets about that video. And those reactions. Serious question. Why did you not address the video of the Vikings fan spitting on the Eagles fan as she was escorted from the stadium? Is it because she doesn't represent an entire fan base? I love this part. Also, you should use your hands more when you talk. Was it difficult shooting this entire thing with a full diaper? And Snowflake, yeah. This had nothing to do with the Eagles, but this guy reminded me of this tweet for some reason I saw by an up-and-coming liberal star, Liz Plank, from the Women's March. Some guy holding a "Men We Must Do Better" sign, and she wrote about that. Might be my favorite sign from the hashtag Women's March so far. So, I just figured I should mention that because it made me think of this putz. Let's just go through the rest of these. Sounds like you should cover chess or WNBA if you're going to be that sensitive. Still talking about that guy. Oh yeah, Vikings fans will show so much class, and they're talking about a tweet. Vikings fans literally rallying by the hundreds to throw at Eagles fans while still playing the victim card. SMH, of course, whether they actually do this versus just talk about it on Twitter is a whole other story. And of course, the fans who were at the Super Bowl, half of them, or maybe not half, but a lot of them aren't fans of either team. It's just very, very expensive. So it's going to be a different type of person than the people you've seen in this video. That's putting it mildly. More tweets. Was it classy when the female Vikings fan, you saw her earlier, was spitting at people when she was being escorted out? What did they think would happen when they showed up and chanted at the art museum or dressed up the Rocky statue that was in South Philly by the stadium where the Rocky statue actually is? Don't want to confuse you. The art museum is in the movie Rocky, but the Rocky statue is downtown in the stadium complex. When they showed up and chanted at the art museum or dressed up the Rocky statue and proclaimed they took over. LOL, this nerd would get wedgied here. They shouldn't have touched Rocky. Actually, the Vikings embarrassed themselves with that ass kicking. F off. You follow a public bias that isn't true. Probably never been to Philly. That shirt is embarrassing. And is there any more after that? Sorry, I lost my place here. But this is getting way too long. Just a little bit more. Quote, Eagles fans are disgusting, end quote. Look in a mirror, pal. And then it's called the best home field advantage in sports, nerd. I'd have to say I did go to the NFC Championship 15 and 14 years ago when they lost to Tampa Bay and Carolina, so I might dispute that at least in terms of NFC Championship games. Another crybaby liberal millennial. Where is your hippie beard, nerd? And then finally, this sums it all up, STFU. And speaking of which, I've been on this probably way too long, so I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you for watching.